I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my apartment that I got and my neighbors. And my apartment is in East Vancouver. It's a great spot. I have a bad landlord, like a landlord who doesn't not on top of things. He's not a good landlord. He's bad at his job. And you guys are probably like, oh, you think your intuition is you want a good landlord, right? You want a good landlord, but that's if you're a good tenant. If you're not a good tenant like me, then you don't want a good hotshot landlord. He's going to expect the same from you. You know, like this guy, he's not on top of anything. It's changed my life because he can't expect anything from me. It's amazing. Like, it's unbelievable. He tries to confront me with something. He'll be like, hey, did you rent your place out for a month on Airbnb? And I was like, did you ever fix that door? And he's like, oh, yeah. One time he came by my suite and he was talking to me about something else, and then he started going, he's like, I smell smoke. Are you smoking in your suite? And I was like, no, you have a lit cigarette. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's not a good because, you know, as a landlord, the main thing you have to do is collect the rent, right? That's the thing you have to do as a landlord. If you're not doing that, you can argue that you are not really actually landlording. You're just kind of living in a place. Because this is what happened. Listen to this. I checked in my bank account a little while ago, and I noticed there was quite a bit of money in there, and I was like, that's not right. I was like, something's awry. And I looked into it, and what had happened was I'd only given him 6 months worth of post-dated checks, and then they ran out, and he never noticed, and I never noticed. I just wasn't paying rent. I had to bring it to his attention. I called him. I was like, do you know you haven't been getting rent from me? He's like, oh, is that right? I was like, do you want me to give you some more checks? He's like, yeah, I like that. It is hard, though. When your landlord cares that little, he's like, he'll let anybody move in. He didn't ask for any references, nothing. So, like, sometimes you get nightmare neighbors, and that happened to me. Some people moved in above me, Tammy and Terry, and they moved in, and they fight all the time. And it's really tough to deal with because they're not normal fights, you know. I'll give you an example of one of their fights. This is what it sounds like. It's like, hey, that was the last rock! What? Hey, I always pay for the rocks! And you never do. You better start paying for some rocks! Yeah, it's all very rock-centric. And I'm naive, you know, so it took me quite some time to realize that these are not collectors of precious gemstones. I'll say it's crack cocaine if you don't know. I just feel bad for one or two people who still don't know. But it's hard, you know, and I have empathy for people who are addicted to drugs. I want them to get better if they want to get better, but it's hard when they're in such close proximity to you that you have to be a part of their life, and I don't want to be a part of their life, you know? Like, I don't want to be, I didn't choose that life for a reason. I don't want to, but it's hard because they're so close. Like, this is, so their fights start normal, and then they just go in a crazy direction, you know? Like, this is one of their fights. It was like she's really tough and mean, so she's like, hey, I'm the breadwinner! I'm the breadwinner, you respect me! I made $38,000 last year, I pay the bills, I pay the rent, you respect me, I'm the breadwinner! At first you're like, oh, that's cool, it's 2016, it's a good way, progressive way that you've divided the household. You want to think the best, you know, but then it all comes crashing down because he's like, yeah, the only reason you made $38,000 last year is because you collected EI in 2 provinces. So I'm pretty sure that's against the law. You're listening to all of it, it's so hard to not just be like, yeah, no, it definitely is. I only met them once. I saw him in the elevator, Mary and Terry. I saw him, Terry was like, he was like skinny, but he had muscles, you know, like drug muscles. And he was standing in the elevator and he had like no shirt on, he had cut off jean shorts on and just like prison tattoos just unevenly scrawled all over his body. Just a real fringe looking character, dude, you know? And so I like introduced myself because I was like, hey, I live below you. And he tried to have like a professional introduction and he tried to pass off. This is what how he introduced himself with his prison tattoos and he put his hand out and he's like, hey, nice to meet you, I'm Terry. I'm a commercial building developer. It was a really lofty lie. I thought we were just making up fun jobs. I was going to try to one-up him. I was going to be like, oh, nice to meet you, Terry. My name's Chris James. I'm the president of water. But yeah, it's hard because people come looking for them too, and they live right above me. So like when people come looking for them, they come yelling, and they're right outside of my bedroom, like 5 feet over on the other side of the fence, like right there. So it's like someone's yelling, like someone comes by, like, hey, Mary, you got my... Sorry, that's her real name, Mary. I said Tammy before, but it's hard because her name's Mary. Say, hey, Mary, you got my laptop up there, you know? And then she comes out and she's like, yeah, what does it look like? I was like, how many you got out there? I was like, it's probably the one that looks like not yours. That's what it looks like. And then a funny thing happened. He started trying to describe the laptop, and he's just like, it's like medium-sized, regular, silvery-ish model. And it dawned on me. I was like, I don't think it's his either. I was like, whose laptop is this? Sometimes it's more sinister than that. The one time a guy came by and he starts screaming and he's yelling. He's saying, "Hey, Mary, you owe me money!" He's screaming, "Come out here! You owe me money!" And then he starts throwing rocks at the side of the building. Not the rocks from before. This gentleman would not have been throwing those types of rocks. He would have put them in his pocket for later. These are regular earth rocks, and he's just picking them up. And he's whipping them at the side of the building, like, get out here, Mary, you owe me money, you know? And he's whipping them so hard, it's broad daylight, he's whipping them. Finally, I came outside, and I was like, hey, man, listen, I got a girl inside, and you're freaking her out. I didn't, it was me, but I was embarrassed. So I was like, hey, man, why you should probably move it along. I was like, it's broad daylight, you're throwing rocks at a building, someone's gonna call the cops. He's like, you gonna call the cops? I was like, no, one of these narcs. I was like, there's a guy on the second floor, he always has aviators on. But he left, and I felt really big, you know. I was like, oh, I got rid of that guy, you know, he's gone. But then I saw him at the corner store, like later that night, and he remembered me, and he had more courage, you know. He wasn't that big, but he had more courage. He came up, and he said, hey, you're the guy from before, you know. And then I saw in his eyes, I saw the look, because I watch a lot of World Star Hip Hop fight compilation videos. Yeah, the fight comp of the month, and I watched a lot, and so I knew this look in his eyes. It was like a combative look, like this guy wants to fight or something, you know what I mean? And so I took a couple of steps back, and then when I did, he pulled out this giant serrated hunting knife. Yeah, this part's not funny. Yeah, it was like this huge Rambo knife, you know? And it's weird, no one's ever pulled a knife on me. Like, I've seen a lot of knives, and people have showed me a lot of knives, and so my first intuition was that this guy's, for whatever reason, wants to show me his knife. So I was like, oh, cool. And then I realized he took a knife fighting stance, and I was like, oh, he wants to have a knife fight, but I wasn't gonna have a knife fight. I didn't have my knife. My knife was at home in the drawer of my kitchen. So I ran away, because that's what you do if someone pulls a knife, you run away. If it's a gun, you're supposed to attack them. That's true. But it's great when it's a knife, because then you're allowed to run away and you're not even called a coward. And so I ran away, and I ran really, really fast. And I ran to my apartment, and I was like trying to get my keys because he's running behind me. And so I'm trying to get my keys, and I'm thinking, this is crazy. And then I remember, thank goodness the fucking landlord hasn't fixed the door, so I don't need my keys. So I came in, and I got in, and I sat down, and I sort of gathered myself, and then I talked to my landlord the next day, and I told him the whole story. And I was like, this is crazy, eh? He's going to come in and kill me. And he's like, oh, man, that's scary. He's like, someone's got to fix that door. And I was like, that's you fucking idiot.